Alrighty, we're doing a little follow-up video with the Ruger LCP and 380. I think I've already covered that it's a hammer-fired gun, which the hammer is pre-cocked, so it's a very light double-action pull. The only modification I've done to this gun was use some orange fingernail polish and painted the front side orange to give me a little bit more visibility with the front sight. We're going to discuss today some of the pros and cons of this gun and the cartridge. This gun is roughly the same size as the Raven Arms 25 ACP. It's maybe a 1/4 inch longer in the sliding barrel, but as far as the width, it's about the same. As far as the height, it's about the same. When we look at magazine capacity, 6-in-1 in the 25 ACP and 6-in-1 in the 380 ACP. During various times, these guns have filled the same role, and that's being the smallest gun I could carry in my pocket when I needed something really tiny. Interestingly enough, what I keep both of these guns loaded with is the Hornady XTP bullet. Both of them have proven to be reliable with that and given decent terminal ballistics for caliber. At the time, in the mid to late 90s, this 25 ACP Raven was about the smallest thing you could get. Times have changed. The 380 ACP was probably along the size of the Walther PPK or similar guns, so it was substantially bigger, just big enough it could not fit in a pocket. That being said, and I'll set these aside, I've had some people talk to me recently about getting a 380 ACP for their wives and other ladies. Now, these are not seasoned shooters. I'm going to say this: it's better to be armed than not to be armed. I'm a experienced shooter. This particular specimen I've run almost 200 rounds through. I've owned these guns before and put probably well over 1,000 rounds through several different specimens. What I'm going to say about this gun is it has proven itself to be reliable. It's proven itself to be durable. One of these I had in my pocket for several hours when I had turned over a boat, and it was in the water with me. Because of its size, this pistol is usually available to me, because when I can't carry anything else, I can slip this in my pocket. It's a gun of convenience. Who is this not for? Novice shooters. This is a gun that to shoot it quickly and accurately requires a lot of dedication. And in my opinion, when I can carry something bigger, there are better options. 2 cartridges I like to use in this gun. One of them is the 90 grain Hornady XTP. This is the American Gunner. It's rated at 1,000 feet a second, but that's out of a 4-inch barrel. You're going to see around 750 to 800 feet a second, optimistically, out of this 2 3/4 inch barrel. It's small. Even with the 380 ACP cartridge, you're going to have a lot of recoil in a gun this size. Well, to shoot it accurately and shoot it quickly is going to take time and training. There are, in my opinion, better options. One option that I like is its big brother. And this is the Ruger EC9S. I've got several of these guns. I can only find one theoretical flaw with it, and that deals with this pin up here. And in theory, that could get pushed down and knocked out of place if the side was in the proper position to let it do that. Several thousand rounds through both of these pistols that I own and this EC9S, I have not had that problem. With the 380, you get roughly 2/3 the power of a 9mm cartridge. This is the 124 Plus P. And out of the short barrel 38, you get about 2/3 the power. Is it enough? In some cases, yes. In some uses, no. Even with our standard length magazine for the EC9S, you have 7 rounds plus 1. It gives you a total of 8 rounds. I like to use my EC9S with the little finger extension. It helps me get a better purchase on the gun when I grip it, and that makes it slightly too big to fit in my pocket easily. Now, depending on what cut of pants you wear, you might be able to get away with it. If I went to the flat base place, yes, I could get away with having this gun in my pocket. This is about the size of the Walther PPK, which many years ago was the gun to have in 380. And I'm stepping up in power and getting about 1/3 more power in this package than I am with the 380 cartridge. The ammunition for 9mm right now is about our least expensive centerfire cartridge. The only thing that I can shoot cheaper than this is 22 long and in some cases 22 Magnum. So this gives me 1/3 more horsepower, and it has a larger grip. I can get a hold of it even as narrow as it is. It's very concealable, particularly in a hip holster or an inside the waistband holster. I also have a 9-round magazine that I can use to bring my capacity up to 10, albeit it brings out more of the base plate, more length to it. Another good option is something like this Smith & Wesson Model 36 and 38 Special. Yes, I know it only has 5 rounds in the cylinder. This is one of my favorite pistols to shoot, albeit I'm going to say this. These short-barreled 38 specials on the small frames are not a beginner's gun either. But it's far easier for me to shoot this all steel frame gun, even with the 38 plus P loads, than it is the 380. So that gives me an option. This fits easily into my pocket. If I'm worried about weight, most of the time when I carry the J frame, I carry 2. One can be on my hip or in my pocket. The other one generally rides on my ankle. This is my Model 642 stainless. Again, I have the front sight painted orange. It's got an extremely smooth trigger on it. I took it apart and polished the internal parts. This gives you, again, about a third more power than this 380. And to me, this is a much more shootable package. The Model 36, with it being all steel, even more shootable than the airweight option. My other choice for ammunition in the 380 is the Winchester 95 grain full metal jacket. This is an exception to the rule. Usually for defensive ammunition, I'm going to tell people carry a hollow point. The expansion allows for it to dump more energy into the intended target, and it also decreases the chance of overpenetration. However, if I get good expansion out of most 380 bullets, I'm only going to get about 6 to 8 inches of penetration. In some cases, that might be adequate to get to the vitals to stop an attacker. In some cases, it isn't. That's where this comes in. It has a big flat nose. It's going to do more tissue damage than a round nose bullet. But it's also going to give me enough penetration to get to the vitals of my target in a self-defense scenario. I've shot both of these ammunitions through this 380. They both performed well. If I do my part, the gun and the ammunition combination is accurate. They've proven to be reliable. So this is a follow-up with the 380 after having put some more rounds through it. Again, I'm not bashing it. It's better to have it than not have it with you. It's better to be armed than not be armed. However, I want people to understand some of the limitations of this gun, some of the limitations of the cartridge. You get roughly 2/3 the power of your 38 ACP, 38 special, and your 9mm. And if it's something you can work with in those limits and you're willing to spend the time, master the recoil, this could be a good option. In some cases, there are better options, particularly since I've spent quite a bit of my life mastering the revolvers. So, is this an option? Maybe yes, maybe no. It depends on what you're willing to do and what you're willing to dedicate yourself to as far as your training. Is it the worst option available? No. The worst option is not to be armed. So, with those in mind, those are some more thoughts on this LCP. Again, I found the performance to be on par as I have with other specimens of this gun. Is it a pleasure to shoot? Not really. Is it something I'm willing to put in the time and master? Yes. It's not a beginner's gun. This is an expert's gun. It's not as forgiving even as these small frame 38s. Certainly, I find the smaller 9mm to be a much better choice for stopping power, cost of ammunition, ballistics performance, and shootability. So these are my thoughts and my opinions on it. Maybe yours are the same, maybe not. I'm hoping this gives you some good food for thought, and I look forward to getting back on the range and doing some tests with these guns and being able to go into more detail of why they may be a good choice, why they may be a bad choice under different circumstances. Later on.